At first, we emailed Ms. Caroline Malebai from ER Lesolang Secondary School. At first there was no response, so my fellow group member Kaylin Cunningham had to physically phone her and make an appointment on 17 July. On Tuesday 17 July, Kaylin and I went to ER Lesolang Secondary School and met up with Ms. Caroline. We arranged with her and decided that we would do our presentation to 6th grade 10 classes about rabies and how to prevent as well as treat it. On 24 July, we went to ER Lesolang Secondary School to present our presentation.
Data was collected in the form of field notes. The students were asked yes or no questions by members of the group and had to answer in a fun, interactive way using our paper lollipops. Information given to the students in the contact session was based on the information in the pamphlet and focused on these 5 areas: a brief explanation of rabies and how the virus is transmitted, how to avoid getting bitten by a dog behavior, what to do if bitten, and how to take care of your dog.
So in this study, we collected data using field notes. We then averaged the data that we got from the students over all 6 the groups to make it easier. When analyzing the data, we could see that for students who owned dogs, there were approximately 50% of them. And for students who actually were responsible for taking care of those dogs, there were only 30% of them. When we asked them whether they knew what the rabies virus is, we found that most of the students said no, approximately 90% of them. The rest of the students didn't answer, but from their facial looks it seemed like they didn't really know what we were talking about, so we could assume that maybe less than 5% actually knew what rabies was. When asked whether they knew what a vaccination is, only 5 students responded that they know. When we moved over to how to take care of your dog and how to avoid getting bitten, we could see that 100% of the students knew that you shouldn't disturb a dog while eating, sleeping, or while a mother dog is taking care of her young. This showed us that they come into contact with them every single day, and that even though only 15% of them have dogs, 100% of them know of them. When we told the students that they should stand like a tree or lie down like a rock, 100% of them disagreed with this and thought that running away from a dog that is trying to bite you is a much better option. When we asked them about handling dogs, we could see that the female students all agreed that cradling a dog is a better method of handling all the male students agreed that picking up a dog by its skin is a correct method, and all the students agreed that picking a dog by its legs is not a correct method. Given all this, we could also see that these students, when shown a picture of a dog chained, they could recognize that the dog needed water and food and a shelter. One of the boys in the grade 11 class had the ability to empathize with the dog and could realize that the dogs feel boredom and require toys to have fun. All of the students agreed that dogs have to have puppies. And when asked why, they didn't understand, or they thought that if they didn't have puppies, then there wouldn't be any more dogs left. When speaking to the teachers of the school, some of the teachers thought that we were selling dogs, and some of the other teachers thought that teaching the students about rabies is not an appropriate focus for the vet students, and that we should rather talk about tertiary studies so that the students can attend open days, or that we should bring open day to their school.
Although some of the information was frightening, it shows the huge need for education in our communities. We'd originally thought our presentation to be too basic for 16-year-olds, but it became very evident that concepts that seem very easy and common sense for us are not always known by the general public. In our opinion, the students actually gained a lot from this experience, and this was evident when we went and handed out flyers in their break time. A number of students actually came up to us and told us about their own dogs at home, and we found this very inspiring, because it means if we didn't manage to reach all the students, which I don't believe to be the case because they all said they'd learned something from us being there, but it means these students that came to us, hopefully we've sparked a passion in them for dog and animal care, and that would spill over into rabies education and will improve, if not all the dogs, but at least a few dogs' lives.
The first shortcoming was that there was a lack of facilities at the secondary school, so we were not sure whether we could do our presentation in a very good fashion. The second shortcoming was that there was a language barrier between some of us and the students. So we ponder on the question whether the students actually understood what we were saying, and did we manage to actually raise the question about and the problem about rabies in South Africa. Another suggestion that I could also give is that we not only do a one-day visit to the schools, but rather multiple days where we could interact with the students a bit more and make sure that they understand exactly what we are saying. I absolutely loved the project. It taught me a lot about different communities, about different cultures, and about education and awareness in general. I think it's so important to educate, especially the younger community.
How did I learn? I learned from the physical contact sessions with the class group as a whole, the one-on-one sessions with the students, and also most importantly, I learned from my fellow group members on how they approached this assignment and what they did, and how we as a group came together and presented this presentation to the class.
During our community engagement project, we played the role as educators as we shared our knowledge with the learners. We did not expect the roles to be reversed, and yet they were. We learned so much from this experience. Many of the children came from underprivileged backgrounds, but their desire to improve their pet's quality of life was both inspiring and humbling. It taught us that one does not have to be well off to be a good animal owner. The children posed insightful questions. This taught us that a lack of education in the topic is not due to a lack of interest, but merely a lack of available information. We hope to change this via the distribution of our pamphlets.
We feel that the Rabies project is a worthwhile project for the VPL 300 course because we were able to teach students about rabies who didn't know about it, and we were able to learn new things about community engagement.
In future, we can be spending more time with our students and include more personal time by dividing the class into smaller groups. I also believe the students would benefit from actual demonstrations of vaccinations on real dogs. And then something we can do differently in future is to simplify our presentation and include purely the basics of animal welfare instead of focusing on one aspect thereof.